So, okay. Now, I've always considered DMC to be like anybody that considered themselves a scratch DJ was in the DMC. And if you were good, it's almost like the slam dunk competition. Like you expect to see Jordan in it at least once or twice. You expect to see Kobe in it. So you expect those people to be in there. Now, fast forward to today. DMC is still around, but the contest that's taken over has been, Red Bull. What's your take on the Red Bull style of competition versus DMC?
I think it's dope. I love it.
Okay.
I think that no one organization should monopolize what a DJ battle could be, And I think it's important for DJs of different caliber to push themselves. So whereas the DMC pushes you to really master the intricacies of scratches and beat juggles and body tricks, and it's this crazy hand choreography that you see these kids do today on stage. Competitions like the Red Bull 3 style encourage DJs to master their taste in music, their listening skills, how to sequence a set, and not just make it about your technique, but whether or not you could engage an audience, understanding different genres of music. That's important too, and I tell people a lot of times that refer to me as a turntablist. I sometimes I stop them and I say, no, I'm a DJ. I'm a DJ, man. And so I could, if you put me in a room with Melody, Qbert, D Styles, whatever crazy young kid exists now from Europe, and they're all scratching, I will scratch and hang with all those guys. And if you put me in a room with Kid Capri, Jazzy Jeff, Ron G, and they're talking about music taste and blends, I can hang with those guys. Like, it's important to be able to do all of the different aspects that involve DJing and playing music and manipulating music. And so I feel it's a good thing that Red Bull 3 style exists. Big shout to A-Track and his battle, the Goldie Awards. That's a fun competition. And it combines production with DJing, and that's a different take on what we do. All those battles that exist are important. And for me, there's no one battle that's more important than the other. It's just different avenues. And not everyone wants to scratch 1,000 miles per hour and do the most intricate beat juggle. Some people love party rocking and DJing weddings and clubs and having a residency. And if you're that kind of person, the Red Bull 3 style battle is a great competition to inspire you to amplify and increase your potential in that arena. If you're into production and what it takes to make a beat on the fly, like in real time, then you could do the Goldie Awards competition and fuse some of that with scratching and beat juggling and body tricks. So I think they're all important.
Now, you brought up something, and since you brought it up, let's just go into it. When you talked about you may not want to see somebody scratch, 100 miles a minute. What is your feeling on a lot of scratch artists today versus in the past? Because I think what I'm starting to witness is DJs that are technically excellent at scratching. Okay. They can do all the tricks, but there is a musicality that is missing from the scratches. What are you experiencing with that? Growing from, from the most basic scratches to, to the more complicated ones. You've seen them all.
I'm experiencing the same thing you are. And I'll be honest with you. We're all here on this earth to be creative and express ourselves, right? So by no means do I want anyone out there to assume that I'm trying to control the direction that the style of DJing that we're talking about, scratching, beat juggling, is going in? Because I'm just one person, and I know that.
Right.
That said, I feel like in general, I'm not necessarily trying to paint today's generation of DJ with a broad brush, so to speak. But in general, I feel like the kids that compete in a lot of these more of the, I would say more so in the technical battles, like the DMC, like the IDA competition. I feel like today's turntablist is disconnected with the fundamental aspects of DJing. So what I mean to say is this. Earlier, you and I were talking about how I went from age 12 to 19 developing myself. And it wasn't just developing my technique. It was also playing out at parties. I would DJ house parties for high school friends, and they'd pay me whatever, 50, $100 for a night. I remember the first party that I DJ'd was in 6th grade at my junior high school. I DJ'd the junior high school dance. And my dad trusted me enough with his equipment and literally drove me to my junior high school with all his speakers, all his equipment, set it up for me, and I DJ'd the entire dance. And I remember my friends were watching me like, Rob, like, this is crazy. Like, who are you? Like, how is it that you know how to work this equipment? And I'm like 12 years old with headphones on, cutting it up and mixing and stuff. So I spent those years honing in on the different strengths and getting better or improving in my weaknesses. But I also developed an ability to interact with people through music. DJing at a house party means you got to understand how to keep a bunch of teenagers happy, and you got to make sure that you're playing the right music. And someone storms into the bedroom where you're set up, and they want to hear a b-boy break because they want to start breakdancing. Having access to that song, dropping it, keeping the beat going, all that is a part of DJing too. And I feel that today's DJ is missing out on that because we all interact so much like this, like via Twitch or via Instagram or via YouTube or via FaceTime. And as a result, there's really no need for you to be around people as much. So there aren't house parties. You're not being asked to come DJ this house party for this girl who's turning 17 and her friends are going to be there. And all those experiences help you develop as well as a DJ. It's not just about technique. So when you hit the stage and you have all those people staring back at you, you've been there already. You've been there at the house parties. You've been there at the high school dances. I remember when I graduated Newtown High School, instead of going to my prom, I DJ'd the prom of another high school. Because my thing was, fuck my prom. I'll go DJ another prom and get money. You know what I mean? So those experiences you bring to the stage when you're competing at a DMC or an IDA. But a lot of the younger kids now that compete never DJ'd a party. They never experienced having someone walk up to them and request a song and them having to find that song and then play it. They never experience what it is to engage an audience because all they do is they stay at home for like 5-6 hours a day perfecting that orbit flare or that offset backspin or that body trick. And then they go from the bedroom to the DMC stage. So it's like they're up there like these robots executing what they've been rehearsing in their bedrooms, but they're not really interacting with the audience. And their music selection is just like a bunch of fast scratch beats and beat juggles with songs that like aren't even hitting. Like you play the song and you're like, what is this song? Like I'm not even feeling this shit. Because it's like
Right.
they haven't developed that, like, yo, I gotta keep these people entertained, and it's not just about my skill. It's about the music I play too, and the taste that I have in music, and sharing that with these people. And now I'm flipping the music that they like with my cuts and my juggles. You know, that's missing. So, you know, that's the best way I could answer your question. Like, there definitely is a disconnect between today's DJ and the authenticity of what DJing is, which is rocking a crowd of people, playing music for people. I think today's DJ, and when I say DJ, I mean the turntablists out there.
Right.
Their focus is, I gotta learn that 4-click orbit, boomerang up the ass, 1,000 miles per hour, zoom scratch. I gotta learn that, because if I do that, I'm gonna win the competition. They a lot of them don't even care about music selection or catering to the audience. So what I do, because I also teach, and I have a legion of students called the Brolic Army, and I teach cats from all over the world, young people, old people, how to DJ. If they want to compete, I train them. I have a battle that I do every October called the Brolic Army Battle for Supremacy, and it's between just my students, and I teach them, like, here are the techniques, but make sure that you're taking into consideration the music that you're applying these techniques on. And when you shoot the video of yourself, engage your audience. Although there may not be people in your room while you're shooting that video, when I post it, there will be thousands upon thousands of people watching it. So engage them, look at the crowd, like, have fun as you're performing, because then your audience will have fun with you. And that disconnect does exist amongst a lot of the DJs that compete now. The disconnect meaning the interacting with people and not making it about yourself, and you're just going crazy and everything is scratching it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
It's funny you say that, because especially when you mention the Goldie Awards with A-Track, because I was A-Track was on the Mickey D show at DJ City a couple of years back, and I was there, and he said, you know, it's funny, when I won DMC, all I know how to do was scratch. I didn't know how to DJ. So then people started booking me, and he was like, I guess I got to learn how to DJ now. And he's like, it took a long time for him to get that part of it, because there is a mastery of rocking crowds, just like there's a mastery of turntablism, you know, and it's Universal Will said, 2 different game, turntablist versus club DJ. And I mean, to a point, I think the culture should exist between the both of them, no matter what. I think it's the difference between like you're a sprinter or you're a distance runner. You're still a runner. It's just a different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you should still be able to do both, but maybe you just do one a little slower. You know.
If sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not sure what the mindset of the person was that made that comment regarding, you know, turntablism, DJing 2 different games. I forgot exactly how he worded his comment, but, and I don't know what his mind state was and what his intentions were behind saying that. But what I will say is this: Cash Money, when he won the 1987 New Music Seminar Battle for World Supremacy, when he won the 1988 DMC, I will bet anyone $100 right now that within a week or two of winning those competitions, he was party rocking in Philly.
Right.
You know, it's not either or, at least for me. It's everything together. You know what I mean? And, you know, I started out DJing, excuse me, I started out DJing my junior high school dance. Then I went from that to DJing my friends' house parties because they saw me DJing the dance. Then I went to making mixtapes. From making mixtapes for my friends, I went to competing. After I competed, I started touring with Akinelli, and I was his backup DJ. And I laid scratches for dudes like Fat Joe in the studio for his first album, Represent. Then I toured as a DJ. Like, I did a lot of different things. And it's not about either you're a club DJ or you're a battle DJ. There's so many more aspects of this art form. Why is it that people limit themselves to one or two things? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I never understood that. Even with battles, like, a lot of battle DJs aspire to win a battle. They win the battle, and they do one of two things. They retire, and then you never hear from them ever again. Or they enter the following year's battle. And then they win again, and then they enter the following year's battle. And then they win, and then they enter the following year's battle. And then they lose, and then they enter the following year's battle. It's like, dude, like, there's more to DJing. There's more to this art form than winning a battle every year. Like, you're missing out on some amazing experiences, i.e., recording scratches in the studio, working with artists, touring, DJing at a club, DJing on the radio. Like, there's so many things that you could do. And I just feel like a lot of the current era battle DJs limit themselves to just battling. Aladdin, Cash Money, Jazzy Jeff, Steve D, myself, Rock Raider, Mr. Sinister, Babu, Melody, all these guys, Craze, 8-Track, all these guys experience DJing from multiple areas, not just one area, i.e. battling. You know, all of us have toured. All of us have worked with artists. All of us have worked in the studio. And the more you do, the more you grow. You know what I mean? So anyone that thinks DJing is just you're either in the club or you're in the club competing against other dudes is missing out on some amazing experiences.
Agreed.